Alright, so we've got this guy done, and the next thing we want to do is this bottom level, which is basically a series of lines with a depth parameter on it that are being drawn directly down from the points that we have here. So if I come in, the way that you do that is I'm going to go to reference line, and I'm going to make sure that I have draw on work plane selected. I do not want it to be on face, I want it to be on work plane, and I want to get rid of 3D snapping for this. Basically, we want it to draw on these planes and host to these little points. So once I set the reference line, set it to draw on plane and get rid of 3D snapping, I can then set my current plane to that point, and if I draw a line and draw it directly down, right, using the blue alignment line, I should be able to pick that line, make that dimension permanent, and put a parameter on it. So if I come in and go to create parameter here, I can say, offset 1. Okay. And it comes in and sets that at an offset, and then I can test that. So if I wanted to, I can bring up my family types dialog box and just look at it and say 3 and apply, and it's making it a different size, right, when I hit those. So I'll leave it at 1'6" for this one. Okay. And so now I'm just going to go through and repeat that process for each one of these points. So I'll do that pretty quickly. So I'll just go to reference line, set, draw that down, and then set, draw that down, and then set, draw that down, and then set, and just keep going, set, and let's see if this will work. So I'm just going to use that offset, and you can see it's applying that offset to these other lines. Once I make those dimensions permanent, select those dimensions, and drop that parameter onto it. Okay, so now I've got that guy being controlled, and I've got these lines down there. So now what I can do is I can create the second level of the pentagon, or sorry, the hexagon. So sometimes a little easier, maybe if I just pick these and hide the category for a minute, right? I can see those little points, and I can go to my reference, and I can change this to draw on face and turn on my 3D snapping again, and then I can go around and make sure that it's draw on face and pick the endpoints of these lines. There we go. Right? And now I've got that pentagon below it, and if I reset my temporary hide isolate, I should test it and see if this guy is working. So if I come in and say offset 1 is 2 feet and hit apply, now that whole thing moves up and down. The other thing that should happen, even though in yours it's flat, is that if you pick this up, everything should move with it. Like nothing should be flying out. So the whole idea is to get everything ultimately hosted to these are the priority, but then the sort of parent-child goes down there. And then the next thing we do is come in and actually place the surface, those triangles and rectangles that we made in here to make it three-dimensional, right? Oh, Sorry, last thing we need is the bottom where the column would be, right? Because there's a level below here where the column would attach and you would have another series. So let's go ahead and do that. So that happens on this guy. So I'm just going to go to Reference, Line, set it to Draw on Face, get rid of 3D snapping, sorry, and go back to Draw on Work Plane. And I'll set this guy to that point and draw a line directly down, right? And do the same thing. So I'll pick that, kind of zoom in, make that permanent, right? It's kind of, there it is. And then I'll make a new parameter for that, and I'll call that offset 2. Okay. And you know, we're going to have a whole bunch of little points coming down here, so I'm just going to place a point there so I can see it a little better. And again, when you place a point, you want it to host on something. You want it to be not on work plane, but on draw on face. And so when you do that, you'll see it'll get small and host itself to that, and I can pick it and just set it to 1, right? So that guy's down there. All right, so when I come back, we'll put the triangles on it.